Hey, I'm Skylar,
And I'm Adrienne.
and in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the scandal that happened with TLC and how situations like theirs is still happening in the music industry, like with Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun.
Oh, TLC. I love TLC. I've read so much about them, from wearing condoms on their shirt to promote safe sex to their racy songs. They're my favorite American group from the 90s. Their album, Crazy Sexy Cool, was so good. It went gold. It's crazy to think girls that young were making so much money at that time.
Well, even though the album went gold, they still weren't getting paid what they deserved. They were entitled 7% of the revenue from that album's sales, which means they got $35,000 each, but had debts that amassed $3.5 million. They ended up filing bankruptcy because they couldn't pay their bills.
How does that even happen? Didn't they sign contracts to prevent that?
Well, they did, but they signed a bad contract. The original C in TLC, Crystal Jones, was denied the ability to take their contract home and get it reviewed by a lawyer, which could have potentially prevented them from getting into this mess in the first place. Crystal was then asked to leave by T-Boz and Left Eye. The two signed a production, management, and publishing deal with Pepitone, with Perry Reed, better known as Pebbles, as their general manager in 1991. This contract was signed under LaFosse Records, which is owned by Pebbles' husband, Antonio Reed.
They must not have been able to renegotiate their contract with LaFace to make their value affect their pay. Did they really file bankruptcy to get out their contract?
I think so, and if they did, it worked. Their contract was later renegotiated with LaFace, and they were let out of their deal with Pepitone in exchange for Pepitone receiving a percentage of royalties on some future releases. Fun fact, 26 years later, they own their publishing and their masters.
Oh, I remember hearing about their 2-year legal debate. Pepitone and LaFace felt that TLC simply wanted more money and were in no real financial danger. Then, after they got released from the deal with Pepitone, they had to buy the rights to their name from Pebbles for $1 million per letter. And the fight didn't stop there. They had more problems with their label too, and it took years for them to get what they deserved.
Yeah, some major lawyers saw their bankruptcy as a brand new option to help artists get out of bad contracts once they get big.
So, I remember you mentioning how it took them 26 years to own their publishing and their masters. How were they able to do that if their masters were never released to them? I remember they did a remake to Waterfalls to be released in Japan and had to get a Japanese rapper to take Left Eye's place because they didn't own the master recordings to her rap. How can they own theirs and not hers?
T-Boz and Chili re-recorded their music, so now they own their masters and publishing and license out their music.
Wow, it's crazy that they had to go through that. This showed me the importance of negotiating contracts and getting them read by a lawyer. Knowing the important music legal terms could have also prevented this. I'm sure situations like this happen all the time in the music industry. Young, eager artists letting the excitement of getting signed overshadow everything else, and them signing away anything, like with Taylor Swift. She's been throwing shots at Scooter Braun ever since he bought her masters.
I know, right? Taylor Swift could potentially re-record her music as an option for her to own her own masters again, just like TLC did.
Well, I learned a lot from this discussion, and I hope any aspiring artist listening found some key takeaways from this discussion, like reading and renegotiating your contracts, always asking questions when you're unfamiliar, and do your own research in addition to the answer you're given. And also to be willing to spend the money up front, then eventually having to pay it in the back end.
We can't stop bad contracts from being written, but we can stop them from being signed by providing examples that have happened in the past and spreading awareness to unaware artists. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm Skylar.
And I'm Adrienne. Thanks for listening.